Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright, we got a lot of stuff to do today, so let's go ahead and jump into this one, shall we? This is a practice log, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you a rundown of what that means. We're gonna do 3 things. We're gonna make small talk. That's this right now. Then I'm gonna answer some comment questions, so if you've left a comment, don't click off quite yet, because I might answer it and address that here. And the last thing, this is when you can click off, is I'm gonna play some guitar for you, something that I've been working on. I'm probably gonna play Lobe de Trennen for you today, because, I don't know, I'm just at an interesting place with my practice where I have been doing what I've said I've been doing, which is I perform it cold. And I don't know, it just kind of comes out how it should come out, like what I'm hearing is what I'm getting, so that's good. And this will be a good opportunity to see if there are any, like, blatant errors in it. Speaking of that, let me just talk to you a little bit about my practice and my performance and also my grad school degree. Did you know I'm in grad school? Whoa. I've been super busy with that, of course, and I have been practicing a lot, and my practice again has been going really well, so I'm happy about that. In my last lesson, we did this thing, which he didn't like say that he was doing this, but I just noticed that he did this, and I found this really helpful, which is I just played through some of my music for him, and he just had the score, and it would just circle like any kind of like mishap or bass note not ringing out or just something. And having that score that's marked up, that's been super helpful for me, because those places where I messed up in the little like lesson performance that I gave him were like the places that I always mess up. So sometimes it's hard to find like exactly what you should work on to bring your piece to the next level. Like especially if you have a piece like 90% there, how do you get it that 10%? I've been finding this really helpful with Lobe de Trennen and also 997. So I'm probably gonna have him do that more because I like that. Yeah, so that's been good. I just played in masterclass today and it went better than the last time. I was kind of down the last time. You could tell from my video I posted. It went better. It still wasn't great or anything, but it at least like, I don't know. I still got nervous, but my hands worked a little better, so I'm optimistic about it. Learning how to perform reliably is going to be I'm sure, a lifelong endeavor. That's what we got. Hey, that was actual small talk, except that wasn't really, though. How's the weather where you are? How's your practice coming along? Are you good? That's great. All right, we're going through this quick. Let's get into some comment questions, shall we? What do you guys got? You got any good ones for me here? Yeah, maybe so. Alright, here's a question. I'm probably not super qualified to answer this one, but I think I can give you some kind of answer. This one is from Cobb Gobbler. Friend of the channel, how's it going? You said, hello Cameron, any insight on how to learn songs by ear? Music feels like color by numbers right now, and I would like to change that. Yeah, the first thing I do is purchase Rick Beato's course on ear training. No. I mean, maybe do that. I'm sure it works fine. But there's some things that you can do first, which I'm sure the ear training course will just kind of do this. If we're going to break it down, there's 2 components that you're kind of thinking of when you're trying to learn a song by ear. The first thing I would probably think about, and maybe the most important, I'm not sure, but the actual, like, notes, as in the chords or, like, the bass line. Hearing that and then being able to play it on your instrument. And now the best practice I found for that is honestly like not just scale work, because I feel like we all practice scales and we just kind of go through it, you know? We're kind of focusing on a technique and the actual notes we're playing aren't that important. But I would listen to like a scale, like a major scale, and just listen to how each note sounds against the other. Like first off of the root, and then you can try it off of other notes. And you want to get really comfortable with the major scale, and also the minor scale too. But I don't know, I'd start with the major scale because it's a major world. And then you'll find like most of the songs that you hear, at least when we're just talking about like hearing a bass line or something, it's gonna follow some kind of path in the major scale. And you'll hear if it does something weird, like this, like just going 1, 4, 5 versus on the way. Like, you know that note's out, and there's only 5 notes that are actually out of the major scale if we have 12 notes in total, so you can learn to hear what each of those will sound like. Like if I play a G major chord, hear all the notes that are out of G major. Like to A flat, that's a feeling, and then B flat, and then like C sharp is the next one, that's a feeling, that's D sharp, which is the leading tone to the relative minor, E minor. So that's an easy one to hear. And then the last one, if in G major we have an F sharp, an F natural, which I'm getting by just playing a G dominant instead of a G major. So you can hear each of them. those are your 5 notes that are out. Like, each one of those kind of has a feeling to it that you will start, like, feeling if you play them a bunch, with, like, also off of the scale or just playing a major chord like that. So if you can really accurately recall the major scale, and then also recall all those off notes, you pretty much have everything you need to at least hear what might be played. Of course, you'll want to be able to not just use the root as your starting place and not just ascending to the note that you're going to, because music goes all over the place, and we're not always just on the root and going somewhere else. That's not how it works. But that's a starting place. And what was your full question again? I don't even know. And then to reduce that even further, every song that you hear is going to be in a key where you can use some kind of scale to kind of figure things out. And that's the case most of the time, and you'll know if that's not the case because the song will sound like really weird. Like, if the song sounds like it's going all over the place, it probably is, and that's probably a song that you can't just learn after one listening, maybe by ear, unless you're really good at this stuff, and you might want to, like, run through the Amazing Slowdowner or something and actually listen to the bass and, like, hear where everything is going, you know, and it'll take many passes, but in doing that, you'll get better at transcribing. So that's just pitch, right, which that's already its own task. Next part is rhythm. I feel like when it comes to actually, like, dictating rhythms off of one listening, we don't really talk about that as much as we do pitch. I really only did that in school, but that's also a really helpful thing. And strategies that I've found that have been good for me, so let's say like 4/4 for example, you can go through and find every combination of subdivision for a beat. So for example, you have like a quarter note. How do you divide that further? Well, you can divide it into 2 eighth notes. So if you hear like dum, dum, you can dictate that quarter, eighth, eighth, quarter. You can divide that further into 4 16th notes, dum, 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 da, 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 dum. Dictate that pretty easily. Next, writing out every combination of like dotted eighth to 16th, dun, da, dum, da, dum. Like, that's one where it's like long, short. And then there are tons of other combinations that you can find, and also working with ties as well, hearing ties between beats. Once you can do that, you can dictate like anything. So if I gave you a dictation quiz before you ever did any of that stuff, and I was just like, all right, what's this? Da, 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 dum, da, da, dum. What was that, right? But if you already broke down these parts, you just hear it as like 4 beats, and they're just divided into these, and you already know what they look like, and you just write them down really fast. And of course, going further with it, not just writing it, but actually playing it on your instrument, I think that would probably be a pretty good starting place. Yeah, so you just do that with all the most common time signatures, like 4/4, 3/4, and then like for compound, like 6/8, 9/8, 12/8. They're all kind of the same though. Once you have one, you have them all. And that is a pretty good foundation for ear training. So just to put a cherry on all that, learn your scales, actually listen to yourself play the scales, learn the notes outside of the scale and how they want to move to a note that's in the scale, and then learn all your rhythms and stuff. And then once you have all that, that's basically what they teach you in school. You just got to take that to a really far extent, which, you know, I know this isn't small talk, but I'm not going to try to give you like a super in-depth explanation of this stuff. One, because I don't have one prepared, and I'm just kind of speaking casually with you, but hopefully that gave you something to work with there. Boom. Also, by the way, I'm a classical guitarist, which means that I read dots. You don't really need to know any of that stuff at all. It is really helpful, though. That's your musical ear. If you care about music, you should care to learn that stuff. Because if you are just going to be a classical guitarist, it's kind of the equivalent of me being a French speech giver, and I don't know French. I just kind of learn the syllables painstakingly and just memorize them that way. Obviously, that's going to make it a lot harder to memorize a French speech because you have to do it syllable by syllable. I can't relate anything to anything else, you know? Obviously, if I do it for years and years, I'll kind of start to see relations between things, but it's good to just formally learn what the relations are, and it'll make everything a lot easier, and it'll give you much more context in what you're playing. It'll also make listening to music more fun too, and you can ask your friends when you're listening to music at a bar or something, hey, what's the chord progression, dummy? You don't know. Yeah, alright, question answered. Hopefully that was something for you. Alright, you know what, I think that's enough for today. I'm just kind of here talking with you. If you want like a real music theory explanation, go watch somebody else on YouTube, alright? There's tons of people that do it better. You know what? In fact, Rick Beato probably even has a bunch of theory videos, especially from back in the day. You should go and watch those. Dude, Rick Beato, sponsored by Rick Beato. I say that as a joke. It honestly kind of is, because I do get the most money from Rick Beato. Oh, I'm getting into playing position. Sometimes I get a little nervous about this because I want this channel to be entertaining, but I don't think this video needs to be that entertaining. I got a really spicy one coming up after this, and I'm not going to do this to you in the next one. But I think what I'm going to do here now is give you a little recital. I'm gonna play 2 pieces for you. And if you only hear 1 piece, it's because one of them didn't go so well. That's why. But I'm gonna try to just do this once. I'm gonna try to treat this as a performance. And we're gonna see how it goes. So I'm gonna play Lobe de Trinen, and I'm going to play BWV 997 Prelude. And I'm gonna try to have fun doing it. And this is what I've been working on, so check this out. Alright, that was 2 pieces for you. Man, have I ever done that to you? I don't think so, it's been a while. I think the last time I played 2 things for you was like an extravaganza a long time ago. Go and watch some extravaganza. Those are pretty fun. My playing sucks in them, so sorry about that. That was before I was in a master's degree. Whoa. You know, not saying anything about my playing now. I feel like most of that came out okay. The Prelude has a couple of spots that I need to look back on, and I think this video will help with that because I'm gonna like edit this now. And I don't know, maybe it'll inspire you to actually practice. It's not too late. This is probably coming out around like 6 o'clock. EST. Don't use that to geolocate me, it's not gonna work. But yeah, that's where we're at. I mean, this is just a short little one. We got some more exciting videos coming out soon, so be sure to stay tuned for that. I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Hey, of course, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like, and thanks for listening to all that too. That's very nice of you. Yeah, you know, so nice that you might want to consider heading down on over to rootensdelight.com and pick yourself up some honest merch. There we go. Good. Yeah, lessons? I don't know. I'm not really giving guitar lessons right now, but once my master's degree is done, I will, I'm sure, because I won't have anything else to do. Feel free to leave some comment questions so I can answer them. If I didn't answer this one good enough, just say that, and I'll try to answer it again. Or again, like for this kind of topic, you can always ask somebody else too. But it's fun to try. That's what I do here. I just try. Alright. I'll see you in the next one.